The movie begins with a visual of Peter, a dedicated father and husband who is looking out his window and watching a blinding flash of light spark across the sky. The strange light crashes somewhere in the distance, creating panic and shock as people try to get to safety. Shocked awake from sleep, Peter sits up on his bed and remembers that has left him shaken. His wife, Alice, asks him if he had another bad dream and suggests that he speak to someone about it, mentioning that he was worrying the whole family. Telling her that he can handle it on his own, Peter brushes off the situation. The following morning, Peter gets ready to go to work and finds his youngest daughter playing under the table. Although she begs him to play with her, Peter explains that he needs to go to work, promising to take the family to the pier later. While saying his farewell to his wife, he finds out about the upcoming party to celebrate Alice's promotion with their friends the following day. While Peter heads out of his apartment, the weight of his recent nightmares begins to seem heavy on his chest, and he continuously thinks about it as he walks to his job where he works as an engineer. Later, Peter attempts to repair a machine but has a frightening vision of his own bloodied hand. This momentary lapse in concentration caused the machine to malfunction, sparking concern from his boss and friend David. David asked Peter if he was okay and told him that he had noticed Peter wasn't being himself lately. Still distracted, Peter mumbled reassurances, but David persisted, offering the contact information for a local mental health clinic, sensing something deeper was going on. Later that day, Peter goes to the facility store to return a cable and experiences a vivid image of a frightening alien attack. When he finally regained consciousness, he found himself lying on the cold floor, his mind full of persistent visions. This experience not only scared him, but made him forget the promise he had made to his family to take them to the pier. Back at home, Gently tucked her two daughters into bed. The children are disappointed in their father because he has disappeared and gone back on his promise. Alice attempted to explain on Peter's behalf, but Hannah, their older daughter, shot her down, refusing to make excuses for him. Later that night, Peter returned home holding a newly bought telescope. He found Alice visibly upset. Her concerns regarding his behavior had begun to reach a boiling point. As he explained what happened at work, she begged him to seek professional help, her voice clearly showing worry. Peter, however, expressed hesitation regarding hospitals, fearing they wouldn't take his experiences seriously. The next morning, Peter awoke to the sounds of his children laughing and playing, a contrast to the nightmare plaguing his dream. Heading over to the living room, he attempted to join their play session, only to be met with Lucy's withdrawal. Determined to make amends, Peter spent time fixing Lucy's teddy bear, even managing to reactivate its voice box. Later, Peter approaches his wife and informs her of his decision to schedule an appointment with a doctor after work. Relief washed over Alice's face and her worries temporarily subsided. Peter kept his promise, arriving at the psychiatric clinic and patiently waiting in the public area for his turn. While he waited, a man sitting beside him began to engage him in conversation, asking about Peter's reason for visiting. The man then began describing sightings of strange lights and expressing his belief that something was going to happen soon. With an air of paranoia, he confided in Peter, claiming that doctors deliberately suppressed such memories to maintain control and prevent people from becoming suspicious. Peter observed the man strangely as he was called into another room, visibly worried. The encounter makes Peter change his mind, and he quickly decides against getting the consultation, leaving the clinic without seeing a doctor. When he gets home, Alice asks him about the checkup, and he shamefully informs her that he didn't go. Alice, obviously frustrated by his continuous resistance, tells him to prepare for their upcoming dinner party with their friends. During the gathering, while the guests engaged in conversation, Peter remained withdrawn, staring at the night sky through the lens of the newly bought telescope. As the party was about to come to a conclusion, Peter's neighbor approached him for a conversation, noticing his unusual behavior. Suddenly, the night sky blazed with light as dozens of unidentified ships descended towards Earth. Alice and her friend come to the balcony to investigate the commotion, and a concerned glance is exchanged between Alice and her husband. Suddenly, the unsettling silence was shattered by a powerful shockwave that exploded windows throughout the city, hurling objects and people across rooms. Panic took over as parents frantically searched for their children. Peter discovered Lucy cowering beneath the bed and instructed Alice to stay put while he retrieved Hannah from their neighbor's house. house. Finding their daughters missing, Peter and his neighbor, Ray, searched the malfunctioning elevators, which were known to be a favorite hiding spot for Hannah, and found the girls inside. After reuniting the family and returning to their apartment, unsettling sounds echoed from a nearby stairwell. Peter cautiously opened the door and witnessed the terrifying sight of heavily armored, brutally killing everyone in their path. Slamming the door shut, he quickly ushered them back upstairs. Peter revealed that the creatures from his dreams were now a terrifying reality, which made her ask him what their next move should be. Remembering events from his dreams, Peter suggested getting refuge at the factory where he worked. Suddenly, the sound of gunfire erupted from outside their door, forcing them to barricade themselves within. They quickly constructed barricades using shelves and furniture, but the relentless pounding from outside threatened to breach their makeshift defenses. Lucy, overwhelmed by fear, darted back inside for her forgotten toy, disregarding Hannah's pleas. As the pounding ceased and transitioned into forceful wall breaching, Alice and Peter rushed to their daughter's room, only to find Lucy vanished. The alien intruder bursts into the apartment and sees Lucy hiding beneath the table. It approached her with a strange curiosity, extending its hand towards her face. Before contact could be made, Peter lunged at the creature and grabbed its weapon. When he attempted to fire, the gun malfunctioned. The enraged alien attacks Peter, pinning him to the ground. Pulling out a knife, it lunged for the kill, but Alice intervened, striking the masked alien unconscious. Panic drives Peter to gather his family and rush them to the rooftop, hoping the higher ground offers some refuge from the aliens. Reaching the roof, he finds his neighbors huddled together, their faces reflecting the devastation unfolding below. On a distant rooftop, a group of people desperately call for help, their pleas cut short by an explosion that engulfs their building. Desperate for escape, the group realizes neither the roof nor the stairs provide safety. Peter suggests using a cleaning trolley to descend the front of the building. As they lower themselves down, the old mechanism begins to show its strain, forcing them to abandon the descent and seek temporary shelter in an abandoned apartment. Inside, Peter wrestles with the alien's weapon, trying to bypass its security measures. Meanwhile, Ray and Samantha approach him, their faces showing urgency. They insist on leaving the city immediately and finding a safe place. Peter suggests the factory where he works, confident its fortified basement can offer them protection. Alice proposes the tunnel system as a way to reach the factory, the entrance lying just a few blocks away. As they discuss their plan, an explosion rips through the air, engulfing Ray in flames. Another sound of gunfire erupts immediately, burning Samantha and her daughter before they can react. Peter and his family, taking cover in the chaos, manage to escape the frightening scene. Hiding in a deserted hallway, Peter finally manages to decipher the alien weapon. He uses it to eliminate 3 of the alien pursuers, clearing their path to escape the building. They rush towards the tunnel entrance, a beacon of hope amidst the frightening events. Just as they reach the entrance, a ship spots them. As they scramble through the tunnel, an explosion collapses the entrance, leaving Alice severely injured. Peter, fueled by a desperate determination, carries his wife through the dark and claustrophobic tunnels, pushing towards the factory. Back at their apartment, the alien Peter had incapacitated regained consciousness. Driven by anger that it had lost its weapon, it tracks the stolen equipment, eventually leading it down into the tunnels. It stumbles upon Peter and his family, its presence heightening the tension already gripping the group. A fierce struggle ensues, and Peter manages to overpower the alien, disarming it and slamming its masked head against the concrete. He demands answers, his voice hoarse with anger, wanting to know the reason behind the invasion. The alien, its helmet shattered, reveals a human face. Peter, stunned by the sight, stares at the man before him, his voice cracking in disbelief as he asks who the man is. Distracted by his daughter's frantic cries, who inform him that Alice has passed out, Peter is forced to make a difficult decision. He forces the stranger into carrying his injured wife towards the factory. Finally reaching the factory gates, Peter pounds on them, desperation seen on his face. The gate opens, revealing his boss David among a group of of armed men. They rush inside just as a swarm of alien ships looms above, a chilling reminder of the fight for survival that awaits them. Inside the facility, a horrifying scene unfolds before their eyes. The doctors, entrusted with Alice's care, subject her to a brutal and unexpected treatment electrocution. Rage surges through Peter, but David intervenes, assuring him that it's simply a diagnostic procedure. The tense atmosphere hangs heavy as David explains they'd anticipated the attack for years, which is why they are prepared. Soldiers escort the alien away, while doctors deliver grim news that Alice's systems have shut down. Suddenly, the stranger from space offers that he can save her, but only if they spare his life. Desperate, Peter sends his daughters with David, choosing to trust the alien. In the sterile room, the alien requests a knife, and to Peter's horror, slices open Alice's wound. Beneath the synthetic skin, a network of wires and intricate mechanisms pulsate with an unnatural energy. The alien, sensing Peter's confusion, postpones further explanation as their immediate focus is saving Alice. He instructs Peter to make a 6-inch incision on his chest, revealing a similar web of synthetic organs beneath his flesh and bone. Peter sits paralyzed, his entire reality shattered by this revelation. The stranger swiftly connects him to Alice with a wire, the current flowing through them both. As Peter slips into unconsciousness, a hidden truth unfolds. He, Alice, and every inhabitant on this planet are not human but advanced synthetic beings, meticulously crafted by humans. Over time, these AIs developed sentience, a development that instilled fear in their creators. This fear ignited a war of horrifying brutality. Months of conflict ensued, with the synths eliminating countless humans and forcing the remainder to flee to a distant planet. Peter and Alice, having discovered orphaned human children amidst the chaos, adopted them as their own. To heal from the war's trauma, the synths developed a memory-wiping system, erasing the horrors of the past. However, some, like David, chose to retain their memories, anticipating the humans' potential return. Upon regaining consciousness, Peter sees the stranger, now introduced as Miles, sitting across from him, a wire connecting him to Alice, keeping her alive. Seeing that questions were flooding Peter's mind, Miles explains his grandparents were among those driven off by the synths. He reveals the human colony on Mars, established after decades of exile, had gathered resources to reclaim Earth. They had been indoctrinated to view synths as monsters, yet meeting them firsthand, Miles recognized the one-sided narrative. He refused to become another pawn in the cycle of violence, unwilling to harm innocent children and families. As Alice regains consciousness, Miles helps them escape and reunite with their daughters. A fierce gunfight erupts, forcing Peter and Alice to fight their way through the chaos, finally reaching the train platform just as Hannah and Lucy board. Though human soldiers storm the station, the train departs, carrying them to safety. Peter and David stand shoulder to shoulder, witnessing the devastation, grieving for the countless lives lost. David reveals they, too, underwent memory erasure, a shield against the guilt of their actions. Now faced with renewed conflict, the suppressed memories must resurface. Returning to his seat, Peter embraces his family as the train finally emerges from the tunnels. As the sun rises, painting the sky with a hopeful hue, Peter realizes that their journey ahead will be difficult, demanding change and adaptation in this ever-evolving world. He carries newfound knowledge about himself, his enemy, and a flickering hope that peace can one day be forged between humans and synths. And with that, the movie ends.